Well, a lot of times I'll get students that'll come to me and say, I'm interviewing for this job or I'm interviewing for that job. Do you have any suggestions? And I usually say, go in, do the interview, find out if it's a good fit, but don't go in demanding money right away out of the gate. Don't make that your number one priority. Obviously, it's going to come up, and you have to. It has to fit, but don't go in first thing out of the chute if you want a job and say how much is it going to pay. Well, this young woman didn't follow those. I didn't counsel her, so she took to Reddit and then posted a response, an email response. She had to go. She was looking at a tech employer, right? And so she went through the first interview, and it was that first get to know you, and then she was going to go for a second round. They said, okay, they didn't tell her what the salary was, and she was going to go to the second round, and they said, well, okay, we will discuss the salary if you're selected for the second round. In order to get to the second round, they had to complete an assessment, right? So a 1 hour long assessment to be considered, which is not uncommon to have to complete a questionnaire or something to that effect. Well, God forbid, this set her off. And she said, being asked to complete a 1 hour assessment as a round for an interview seems like a pretty tall order. And so she sent an email. And it said, hello, I appreciate you taking the time to interview me today. With that being said, okay, I'm going to withdraw my application for this position. I prefer to know the compensation rates before I move forward. And I do not appreciate not being told about a 1 hour assessment that is needed in order to move forward. These are two things I believe a company should be upfront about during the interviewing process. I wish you the best of luck with finding the right candidate for this role. And you look at that and you go, I know in your mind you thought you were being polite, by saying things like, I appreciate you taking the time, and then proceeding to stuff it all the way up with a red hot poker. But according and taking a look at that, she yes, was immediately removed from consideration. And I would look at it and go, hey, honey, what are you, high?
Are you high? You're huffing grass?
You got to be careful with this stuff. So I always say to the students, you're going to run the world one day. But right now we do. So if you want to get into a position to run the world, I'll tell you how to do it. Then after you're in, do whatever you want. But you got to get in first, and this is not the way to do it.
If you're the hirer, if you're the person doing, and you get that email, you're like, well, we dodged a bullet there.
Absolutely.
Thank God.
Absolutely.
So she provided a service, I think.
Absolutely. But the thing is you just look at that, she's thinking that she's in the right for doing this. And she was polite and cordial and businesslike. And it's like, no, you're the furthest thing from it.
John, the engineer, says, but she is right.
Yeah. How old's John?
And I think.
How old is John?
I like my age.
24.
There
you go.
25.
And I actually think similarly to him.
Oh, okay, John.
But
okay, I see what he says. Okay. Okay. A large-scale tech company not disclosing broad stroke salary range prior to an interview. That's exploitative. No. Hiring someone and not telling them what they're making till their first paycheck would be exploiting them. Right? You're not exploiting anyone. I can't tell you. I mean, the majority of interviews that I've been on, the salary, I've always approached it. The salary, we'll discuss it after this is a good fit. If you figure out it's a good fit or not, then we'll discuss it. And then if it's not the right amount of money, well, then it gets, then you get into some sort of a discussion about that and you negotiate. But
what about in the first interview, if they haven't brought it up yet, and they say, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Isn't it valid to say, what's the salary range for this position?
Well, okay,
absolutely.
Commensurate with experience. That gets them off the hook.
Sure.
If you're, we can discuss that based on
your commensurate with experience. But if it's a job that requires, a certain base level of experience, that doesn't really narrow it down. Well, we'll let you know when we get there. We'll let you know.
Well, they went through the first, it was an informational interview, had to do a second one. Yeah. And then once you get in deeper, then you're going to start talking about the particulars.
Do you ever price yourself out of a job? Because I did once.
Yes.
I was interviewing for a job that I didn't necessarily want. And I asked for a pretty exorbitant salary. And it was like, I think they wanted to hire me, but not after I asked for that price. So it works both ways, kind of.
A company's compensation is a competitive space and a competitive piece against their competitors. I would not disclose that until I knew this candidate was close to a hire. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to.
Well, there's a lot of people now, like there's a movement afoot in some circles to have, and when you're posting a job, wherever it might be, Indeed, they used to be the classifieds, but to say what the salary range is. I'd feel it was kind of sketch if they didn't tell me what the salary range was.
Yeah, they don't have to give the exact, what the exact number.
Give us a
broad range.
Yeah, what, a $20,000, $30,000 range or something?
Yeah, that's not going to give you away
some wiggle room.
Yeah, it's not going to give away.
That's no proprietary
That's not giving
secret.
away the farm. Yeah,
but the point is, you don't shoot an email off like that.
Well, no, that's not how I know.
Making these demands, I would appreciate. Okay,
that's not right, that's in itself.
Trigger,
no,
right there. I would appreciate that. Is the
position's
trigger.
not right for me.
I would appreciate.
Sorry.
She clearly didn't want the position.
All right, there we go.
Clearly not.
And I do not appreciate not being told about an assessment that is needed in order to move forward. They did tell her. They said in order to move forward, you have to take this assessment.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell her up front. She passed the first round.
Right. Then
here. Now the next thing
that's
we need you to do.
Yeah.
I've had to take those psychological tests.
Sure.
For some things.
Did you study?
No, and I never got those jobs either. Go figure.
Go figure. He's either going to be the CEO,
ACT like 10 times. So.
He's either going to be the CEO of our company or
yeah, it's like
whoa. You did the ACT 4 times?
Yeah.
Why?
I think so. And I went through a class because I was eliminated from schools because of that one number, which that is just
crap.
Absolutely. It is
culturally biased.
But now they're using it less because after COVID, nobody could take them during COVID. So now they're using them less.
You're culturally
There's nothing to do with it. I had a cold on a Saturday
against the Amish people, and you grew up in an Amish community.
What? You didn't have to do complex math.
Yeah, it's culturally biased.
Well, I don't know. It's one random Saturday morning, and then what college you go to is based off that. It's silly. But
unlike us, Hunter wasn't hungover when he took it. Just saying.
No, I had a bad cold.
So, the what are you high thing is not an issue with. Just to clarify, because people are going, she's right. No, the what are you high thing is not an issue that about posting the salary. It's about firing off that email.
Sure.
In the passive aggressive
how she
way.
handled it.
I don't want to work for a crappy company anyway.
Which John the engineer says, I was just expecting more from a classic What Are You High segment. See, John, therein lies the problem right there. I was expecting more. Well, maybe this isn't about you. Your generation, always thinking it's about you. It's about your entertainment and what you get out of it. Me. There we go. All right. There you confirmed my suspicions.
Love it.
John the engineer.
All right. We are, we're halfway through the program already. Haven't even gotten to Game Balls and Kicks. Stay tuned for that. And we got some hardcore sports coming up as well. In fact, why don't we do hardcore sports
when we get back?
When we come back. Sure. And then we'll open up the Game Balls and Kicks in the Central Standard Distillery Timeout Sports Lounge, which would be a nice change of pace for people who don't generally get to hear a lot of them because they're at work with the Penske file. Mm-hmm. You've stumbled into our lounge today. We got you till 6, Drew and KB. That's just